Rishi Maharaj, CEO of Disclosure Today, is my guest this morning. We're talking about bank fees and so on. You mentioned the financial ombudsman. Do you recall at any point a meeting being held or being asked for by the ombudsman on behalf of the citizenry or any other group who was asked for a public discussion on the rates being charged by banks?
No, I think that has happened. I think you just get a letter in the mail, more or less stating that, or you hear in the news that bank fees are going to go up one way or the other. So the question of whether or not there is consultation, or whether there is some kind of initial discussion going on as to what is reasonable, what is not reasonable to be charging people, does it exist? I don't think it exists. Like I said, there seems to be a cartel where they just sit together in a room and work out somehow that this is the framework we're going to work with, and then each institution will probably go and implement it one way or the other to try to make some profit.
You see, I'm really lost at this because it is on the one hand understandable to say that they have responsibility to their shareholders. Every business operating, you've got shareholders, whether it is an individual or you have shareholders varied in numbers. The bottom line is, if you are offering a product, you're basically becoming a security firm that's charging me
to keep my money.
Keep my money,
yeah,
because I'm not getting anything back. You're charging me for everything. I cannot, I looked at the statement, mine, and I saw I use a card 6 times a day, and every time it is 79 cents.
Yeah, that's up. And people just don't seem until look at the statement afterwards.
I was way above what they call the, what most people say is the benchmark to keep in the account, but every time I did a transaction, I was paying 79.
Yeah, and I know an example of a friend of mine who actually wanted to go to the bank to get a letter from the bank stating that I don't owe you any more money, I guess based on a loan agreement they may have had. And the bank said, no problem, we'll give you a letter, but it's going to charge you about $75 or $80 to get the letter.
What?
Right? And then I personally had the issue with my wife, where we have a standing order that comes out of the bank to pay our mortgage at the end of the month. And we had some queries. So we went to the bank to get a statement of the last year. They gave us the statement. And then we wanted to go back 2-3 years afterwards, and they told her, well, that's now in the archives. So you have to write a letter first to get it into the archives. And once we get it, depending on how many pages it is, you're going to have to pay $15 per page.
This is crazy.
To get information on a service that I'm asking you to do on my behalf, to put a standing order to pay off certain bills for me. I now have to get information from you regarding that, and I have to pay you $15 per page.
We are talking about balance statements now incurring monthly fees ranging from $15 to $25 as compared to $5 a few years ago. Third-party withdrawals of savings can cost you up to $30. Fees are now in place for over-the-counter services that were once free. And even though you're paying for it now, it's not that you're getting super efficiency, because the lines out of the bank is still all the way out to the main road.
Yeah,
they do the lines in a snake fashion, but if you ran people outside, they'd be across the street.
Yeah, exactly. Every morning you come inside Port of Spain every morning between 7:45 and 8 o'clock, and you'll see the different banks that are close to each other and Independence Square and the lines that exist around the block. So it's just ridiculous.
The general feeling is that with technology and all the different screening machinery we have, which has reduced employment of a lot of people, that there would be greater efficiency. I don't think we are seeing it. Not if you have to stand up in these lines. Now you're standing up in the lines to get your own money. No, let me rephrase that. You're standing up in the line to pay to take out your money. This is so vulgar,
And then there's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is if banks are charging so many fees, and if banks are incurring so much millions of multi-million dollar, hundreds of million in profit, is this spread across the board in terms of remuneration within the organization? And I've heard a lot of friends of mine who work in the banking sector say that in terms of the way the lower level employees are compensated, it's still poor. I think people are still getting paid $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 a month. So even their pay packages, unless you're at the upper echelons of the banking service, the remuneration package and the service within their own human resource capacity is also still poor. So then in my mind, the question is, well, then where is the majority of this money going?
The shareholders. The little less than 1% that's controlling all the money. I'm looking at another situation here. I don't know what information you have on this, but where if you want to, let's say, for instance, you've got $100 in the bank. Let's just say you got $110, and you decided that you have the need for $40. You can't get that. You have the need for $80. No, because $20 bills are not going to be any longer available in ATMs. So you want to get $40, you have to take out $50. So you've got $110 inside of there. You got 3 transactions to make. Don't make the mistake and go back because you've run yourself into overdraft already.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this thing that $20 bills will no longer be available at ATMs?
I haven't heard anything about that at all, so I don't know or any information.
The high service charges is not just limited. It's your debit card, it's your credit card, it's your transaction. It's no matter where you go with this. ATMs, for instance, is something that you have to make sure it's part of your network.
Exactly.
I thought making sure that the ATMs were part of your network, you would be doing fine. Well, I found out in certain banks you're doing fine, charge a little bit, but generally if you use your links, anything you use is going to cost you money.
Everything is going to cost you money.
$4. Yeah. You go like, in network, out of network, I'm going to be hit no matter where I go with this. All right, let me ask you a disclosure to this today. Your organization, you hearing everything I say here is basically echoed because I'm sure you have heard more horror stories than I can relate right now. What can we do? I know something you offered a while ago is for the entire population to say, listen, we're going to take our money out. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
All right, so what do we do?
In the end, they have to go about it. I think in the end of the day, what we need in this country, not only with regards to this issue, but in regards to several of the problems that we have faced in this country, is proper citizen advocacy and citizen actions. And I think that's something that we seem to, it exists, but it exists in pockets all over the place. And there seems to be no unified advocacy group that's out there speaking on behalf of citizens with regards to these type of issues. I think it's something that really need to have happen.
Is that something that falls under the umbrella of your organization, say?
Well, I think it falls on, because we really focus a lot more on the idea of government. It touches on the idea of governance, transparency.
Because that's what it is. Somebody's got to be in charge of these people.
Somebody has to be, maybe someone we can look at a disclosure today to look at, probably partner with what other advocacy groups will exist out there. But I think really and truly, that needs to happen. We need to have some strong advocacy voices out there, going out there, bringing a proper idea exactly what's going on, and then presenting some solutions as to how we can deal with the problems. And really, at the end of the day, you have to lobby government, because in the end of the day, governments are elected to serve our purpose. But that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, many people say you can't look on the government for everything, but I am in agreement with you. Who else am I going to look at?
We have to love. That's what we have. In any other part of the country, wherever there are problems with private sector, in the end, they write to their congressman, they write to the senator, they write to the member of parliament, if it's in UK, or the councilman, and try to lobby support and get them to raise this as a point of public interest. And I think right now it's reached the point of a point of public interest, because now you're having a problem with a normal man on the street who's going to have the little small remunerations or whatever going in, whatever little savings they're going to try to have for the rainy day, and you're not going to get much out of it. And there's a problem we have in this country where a lot of people aren't financially literate to understand exactly how the financial services sector operate and what avenues exist out there for them to be able to identify. So I think banks also work on that and be able to then trap you with regards to that, to get loans for this, get loans for that. If you're getting a back pay is coming up soon enough, and see the ads in the papers, come put your money here, put your money there. And there's a lot of people aren't sure exactly what they kind of do.
I found myself amazed in listening to the Jamaican Prime Minister some time ago, the new Prime Minister, justifying why the National Bank, the rates were so high. I thought for a moment he was a representative of the banking industry, because what folks are calling for here is what we are calling for. What we are questioning this morning is this question of why am I, in fact, making a deposit by you getting no interest, minimal interest on my savings, for instance, and you're charging me for everything. It makes no sense. I mean, even an inquiry, if you go and you do account balance inquiry, you're going to pay 60 cents for that. I'm just trying to find out what I have here. I mean, you go to do a links transaction, for instance, it's going to cost you about $4. If the withdrawal is declined, you still pay $1. I mean, there is just no way of walking around this.
And then here's the other question. The other question is now, if in the end the economy picks up and the loan portfolio starts to pick up and banks start to make more money from these other areas, are they going to reduce the fee? Somehow we never seem to. In Trinidad, I think everything goes up and someone never seems to go back down.
You climb, but you of course. I think one of the things I'm looking at in the interim, waiting, of course, that someone will put the mechanism in place to give more power to the financial ombudsman, where you can call these institutions to have public hearings. I think that is, to me, the best way. Have public hearings so we can understand why you feel we must make an appointment to open our... It bothers me so badly. Make an appointment to open your account. Then you pay to deposit your money. Then you pay for every transaction possible. You pay for an inquiry. You get one withdrawal across the counter after standing in the line for a half hour. What am I doing this for? You put the money back under the mattress.
Yeah.
Of course, you make yourself a target of the gangsters. So forget the gangsters and go to the banksters. Okay. The power of the financial ombudsman. Tell me about that.
Well, the ombudsman still has the power to be able to mitigate on behalf of citizens out there with regards to problems they'll have with financial institutions, whatever issues they may have. I think the financial ombudsman, as opposed to the ombudsman that exists, has a little more power and teeth with regards to enforceability of action. So the ombudsman, there's a website. I mean, I don't know it offhand, but there's a website that anyone can go on to. They're located in the central bank building. So the financial ombudsman is definitely a avenue and a place that people can go to lodge complaints that they may have with the banks, with insurance companies, with credit unions. I think even with any financial institution that's covered under the Financial Institutions Act. So you definitely have the ability to go there, get advice, seek advice, free of course, and also try to get some remedies as to whatever issues you may have with regards to financial institutions.